Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory have been serving Quad City families and veterans since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT.
At IHM VCU, we've always been here for you. You are and always will be our top priority. We care about your financial and physical health, and we are here. IHM VCU is a proud supporter of WQPT.
Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.
The Illinois legislature passes a new state budget. Well, some in the legislature did. And an act of empowerment and mentorship that starts with a party. And why there may be more than you think to your cup of coffee in the cities. We'll look at a new documentary you'll see on WQPT that's eye-opening when it comes to that coffee that you drink, plus the effort to uplift the city's underrepresented population. But first, the $46 billion plan. That's the price tag to the new Illinois state budget that Democrats say has tax cuts and freezes, pays down state debts, and reinvests in state programs. Republicans say it's window dressing in a political year, and real change was put on the shelf once again. We talked with State Senator Win Stolar of Peoria, who represents Mercer, Bureau, Knox, and 7 other area counties, about just what was accomplished and what wasn't this season. The Republicans are really pointing out that all of the tax breaks, all the tax freezes really are kind of because of election year, almost like buying votes.
Yeah, you're right. I'm always in favor of reductions in taxes, but we have to be real honest about what this is. These are election year gimmicks and election year games. These tax increases somehow magically expire right after the election. And, that's just them trying to buy some votes is what I believe. And the way this budget was passed was really kind of despicable. We got the final language of this budget just after midnight. And we had less than 90 minutes to go through 3,467 pages of a budget that spent $46.5 billion. Less than 90 minutes to go through that and vote at 1:30 in the morning. I would suggest to you that is not the right way for government to behave.
Well, and I would suggest to you, of course, is that the way it's always done. I mean, every
Yeah.
state, it seems to be an 11th hour budget agreement. That's the way legislatures work. I understand that.
But it's not the way it should be done.
I appreciate that.
We should have the opportunity to understand what we're voting on, to understand all the provisions in there. Like, for example, there was an increase in the legislators' pay. Now, we do not deserve an increase when the citizens of Illinois are struggling with inflation. And yeah, we gave them $50 checks while we gave ourselves $2,800. That's why I was a no vote on that.
Well, let's talk about one of the areas, because priorities are always going to be different between Republicans and Democrats. There's things that I'm sure you agree with in the budget. I know that you would have favored the higher education spending. A lot of more money towards the MAP grants has been a good thing. Prioritizing mental health, also the healthcare system. All of those things are things that people agree with. To the extent can be argued. But what Republicans are really nailing at right now is the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund, that you think that as long as we had the money, we being the state of Illinois, as long as the state of Illinois had the money, that should be paid down right now.
Yeah, that's right. And the tragedy of this is the governor and the legislative Democrats abandoned the negotiations that were going on. And I was actually a part of those negotiations. And they severely shortchanged the amount of money we put in to our unemployment fund. This is the fund, the pot of money that is used to pay unemployment claims. And when doing so, they left a $2 billion hole in it's a loan that we have to the federal government, a $2 billion hole in this fund, our unemployment fund. And the likely result now is potentially the largest increase on employers in our state history, and a cut to benefits that people that lose their job and go on unemployment in their time of need, now their benefits are going to be cut. And you touched on it in your comment there. We had all the money that we needed to solve this problem. We were given $8.1 billion in ARPA funds. Those are the federal bailout money. and we were given all the money we needed, but instead of spending it to solve this problem, the Democrats and the governor spent it on all types of pork projects in Democrat districts, capital projects, things that were completely unrelated to COVID. And this ARPA money, this bailout money, was intended for impacts like COVID, just like the unemployment fund is, and the hole that we have in there. But instead, they spent it on all kinds of other things, and now we're in a severely shortchanged fund. And I would like to add that 32 states, other states, used their ARPA funds to completely solve their deficit in their unemployment trust fund. In fact, we are one of only 9 states left with a loan to the federal government. And it's just tragic that this is continuing, and it could end up in a major tax increase on employers and a benefit cut to unemployed workers.
Well, of course, one of the areas of tax cuts that are popular, of course, would be the fact that you have the temporary tax relief on groceries and on gasoline as well. Republicans are saying that they would like to see an 18-cent per gallon tax cap on fuel taxes and make it permanent rather than short term. My concern, though, is how does that impact infrastructure spending? Because you know so well the bridges and the highways that are under the jurisdiction of the state of Illinois. The infrastructure is so important and has been left crumbling for a while. Is capping the gas tax going to hurt Illinois' ability to rebuild its infrastructure?
You know, actually, the road builders were neutral on this, and this is the reason why. As the cap that we are proposing is related to the sales tax on gas. And as the price of gas goes up, so does that sales tax. And so when this price spikes like it has, we get an extra windfall of additional revenue we were not expecting into our road fund. And actually the sales tax is split between general revenue and the road fund. And because of that, because the road fund would be getting all of the money they were expecting and then some, that's the reason I was happy to co-sponsor that legislation that would have given significantly greater relief at the gas pump than the 2.2 cents delay in the increase that the governor is expected to sign into law. And I'll also add to that you can tell it's an election year because they're requiring gas stations to post a sticker on every gas pump that is touting the delay of the increase of this 2-cent increase in the gas price. And if they do not comply, it's a $500 fine per day on these gas stations. If that's not a definition of an election year gimmick, I don't know what is.
The session is now complete. It's in your rearview mirror. What do you think was accomplished? What are you proudest of as far as a lawmaker of what came out of Springfield?
Yeah, you know, in a large bill like the budget, there's always some things that I'm frustrated or disagree with, and which is why I was a no. There are some good things, and one of the things I was pleased to see is the additional funding for our higher education. I sit on the higher education committee, and Western Illinois University, for example, received a 5% increase in their operational funds, which is one of the largest increases they've seen in years. And also, there's $122 million additional dollars being put towards MAP grants. These are the grants for students to be able to attend college. Now, that means these awards are going to be larger, and there'll be more of them, making college more affordable and more accessible for our students in our state. And
also, I mean, if we're talking about education, not only higher education, but K through 12 education, there were some significant changes that the legislature did there as well, when you're talking about helping with the mental health of teachers even, all the way to making it a little bit easier for districts to get teachers or teachers' aides into the classrooms.
Yeah, and a big part of that is we were able to fully fund the $350 million of the evidence-based funding formula, which is good. And you know, one thing I'll touch on with K through 12 education is, you know, the funding side is one thing, but the other side is what we're teaching our kids. And I'm getting increasingly concerned, and I hear from dozens and dozens of parents throughout the district that are concerned about the politics that are infiltrating our classrooms, and they're concerned that we're indoctrinating our kids with you know, liberal ideology, but really there shouldn't be any ideology in our classrooms. It should be, let's teach them to be the best at math, best at science, reading and writing. Those are the things we should be focusing on in our classrooms.
Illinois State Senator Win Stolar. It's spring break time for some of you, and Laura Adams has some great ideas when you go out and about.
This is Out and About for April 22nd through 28th. Check out Taste of East Moline at the Rust Belt April 28th starting at 5:30. Circa 21 is serving up 2 productions, Just Desserts, a musical bake-off, and Grace for President for the kids. Or be in the audience for the Jenny Lind and Augustana Concert Chorale the 23rd at 3. Mallapalooza features 4 pop, punk, alternative rock, and metal bands at the Muscatine Mall the 23rd starting at 7. The Beat L's 4 powerhouse female vocalists, followed by Rosie and the Rivets, perform at Rhythm City Casino, while Haley Neal performs at Bishop Hill Creative Commons the 23rd at 7. River Corps Spring Concert takes place at Zion Lutheran Church in Clinton on the 24th at 2, while Riverbend Bronze presents their spring concert at St. Luke's United Methodist in Dubuque the 24th at 3. The Quad City Environmental Film Series presents Microplastic Madness at the Figgy the 24th at 2, and Tomfoolery on Tremont present the comedy of Jeffrey Asmus the 24th at 8. Or join Music at Butterworth Center featuring LP and the Vinyls the 27th at 7. The Way Down Wanderers take the stage at the Redstone Room the 27th at 7, while the Bucktown Review performs at Davenport Junior Theater featuring the Front Porch Pickers April 22nd at 7. And Clock Inc. celebrate their grand opening on the 28th at 5:30. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. The Twin Torch Foundation in the cities and the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity are teaming up next month to host its annual Black and Gold Gala at the Davenport River Center to raise money for local scholarships, mentorships, and service programs for underrepresented citizens in the cities. We talked with Stuart Carter, president of the Twin Torch Foundation, about the gala and the cause it supports. Stuart, the Black and Gold Gala is coming up Saturday, May 14th. This is such an important fundraiser for the work that you guys do.
Yeah, we're very excited with the pandemic that we all just experienced. We think individuals are excited about getting out and have an opportunity to fellowship with each other. And this is obviously what we believe is a worthy cause to raise scholarship money for our recipients, and just a great way of giving back to the community who's done so much for us over the last 20 to 30 years.
Well,
so excited.
And underrepresented members of the community too. I mean, you're helping kids that might otherwise have no other avenues to help themselves, which is so important. And you know, we always talk about scholarships and helping people get to technical schools or 4-year colleges, but you also help fund mentorships, which I think are so important, and service programs, which get people into the community. I love the fact that you do those 2 areas as well.
No, thank you. And I think scholarships, I think a lot of times, all too often, people focus in on the scholarships. So those are for the individuals who've made it through a junior high and high school and are going on to college, which is awesome. But we also start trying to attract and develop kids at an early age through mentorship programs. We have a wonderful partnership with March for Babies, with Big Brothers Big Sisters, hopefully coming up with the Boys and Girls Club. And so we know in order for them to have a chance to receive a scholarship, we have to start working with them early. And it is a group, unfortunately, that's well underrepresented in terms of opportunities and exposure to things. So we try to bridge that gap.
And that's really a big part of Alpha Phi Alpha as well. I mean, you've been part of the fraternity for so long, but to have people able to follow in your footsteps, to be more successful, I mean, you're really just trying so hard to help the next generation.
Yeah, Alpha has been around for over 115 years, and it started as a social club for individuals who were going to school at Cornell University who really didn't have a group of individuals that they could spend time with and help matriculate through the campus and through university. And so for over the last 100 years, our focus has been around developing leaders. It's been around giving back to the communities. Education is high on our priority, so our goal is to graduate individuals through the colleges, through the universities, and we've done that in the Quad Cities since the late 1970s, just echoing what Alpha is all about, and it's about first of all, service of all, and we are an organization that is very service oriented, whether it be scholarships, hosting STEM events, father-son breakfasts. We just have tried to do a lot in the community, and we've tried to really flex to the needs. The needs have changed over the last 30 years, and we try to be that conduit to help young individuals know that they can be successful. And a lot of that is just allowing them to see individuals who've been successful. Outside of being a professional athlete, there's a lot of different ways that you can have a wonderful career. And so we try to expose them to those kind of things.
You must be proud of some of the people that you have helped, some of the students that have moved on. Can you tell me about a few that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I'm going to be a little bit biased here and tie into recency, but our MC for the program that we're going to have in May is Terry Thesal III, who was a scholarship recipient the same year that my son was, and Terry's gone on to do great things. He went and graduated from the University of Iowa. Now he's finishing up his master's degree at the University of Indiana next month. He's already secured a job, excited about that. He also became an alpha throughout his college life, so we're excited to see that he can pay back and pay forward, I guess, so to speak. So we're excited about what he's done. He's going to MC our program that's coming up in May. And just when you see that it's come full circle. There's some other individuals that were in the same scholarship group as Terry. My son CJ now is starting his master's at Iowa State University. Another young man, Dejur Nichols Lester, also graduated from Grandview and is starting to work on his master's at Drake University. So when you see those kind of things, you feel like, yeah, any way I can help those individuals through scholarships, through mentorships, it's really what we're all about, and it's exciting to see those young men mature and matriculate into being gainfully employed young men. So excited about what those individuals have done and continue to do.
Mon, I love the fact about the pay it forward. I mean, you always have to think that you're going to have to help the generation behind you, and hopefully they're just as successful as you are in particular. Black and Gold Gala is coming up Saturday, May 14th. Tickets are still available, of course.
Yeah, we had a committee meeting yesterday, and our goal is to sell 200 tickets. We're trying to be conscious of COVID restrictions and things like that. And so we're going to limit our ticket sales to 200. And I would say we're probably at about 80% of that number already with the month to go. So we're excited for that. It's an opportunity to showcase the scholarship recipients. We have 4 scholarship recipients that will be there that evening along with their parents. We're also giving out community impact awards to the organization that we think has done a great job in the Quad Cities, many great organizations to choose from, as well as the individual who's really gone above and beyond to do all the things that we think our foundation stands for, as well as the fraternity. And so we just want to use that as an event to showcase and recognize those individuals as well as to raise scholarship funds and money also for other programs that we launch throughout the year.
Stuart Carter, president of the Twin Torch Foundation. Tickets to the May 14th Black and Gold Gala are on sale. You can head to twintorch.com for details. Rebecca Kasad and Alan Morrison are a ukulele duo who take an interesting twist on 5 decades of popular music. Now, this duo joined us at the River Music Experience to perform one of their original works. So here's Kasad and Morrison with Every Day of the Year.
Despite all the poking and prodding and pretending the other end,
KSAT and Morrison with Every Day of the Year. An Illinois native who spent a few teenage years in the Quad Cities has now traveled to Central and South America to better tell the story of a cup of coffee that is changing a community and the lives of people often marginalized. Brooke Bierhaus is that person, and what she found is in her documentary called Coffee, the Connected Cup, which you can see on WQPT Sunday night, April 24th. And we talked with Brooke about her work. I love the fact that you say that coffee can be transformative. I mean, it's in your bloodstream, and it can really be, it can change so many different lives.
Yes, I absolutely. Coffee being transformative, I really feel like coffee is a global language. And when it's done with intention and you create these, spaces full of connection, intention, and engagement, I think it can really be transformative for individuals and for communities.
WQPT is airing Coffee, the Connected Cup. That is your documentary. Tell me what the point is that you're trying to make with it. I want to talk about with the genesis and how it came about, but what do you hope that the audience comes away with?
The Connected Cup really was spurred from this idea that coffee could allow me to create connections with people as a visitor, as a tourist, as a traveler in so many different countries. And I hope they receive multiple things from watching this film, but one of them being just a view into how other cultures connect via coffee and how that can transform communities. But also, I hope it's enlightening in some aspect for how you can use coffee in a day-to-day basis for creating really meaningful moments in your own life, and maybe taking a second and thinking about coffee less as a quick grab and go and more of a sit down and connect with a friend type of way to exist in this world.
And it's interesting because you really take coffee beyond that. You take it basically from its roots. I mean, you go to Costa Rica, you're in Colombia. Your partner is Native Root, which is a coffee maker that practices sustainable farming methods as well. I mean, tell me about that portion of it. Is that where your coffee comes from can really make a difference?
Absolutely. So I love this collaboration with Native Roots. They are incredible. And after they watched the film, had reached out and realized we all had either lived at a certain point or are from the Quad Cities. So I love that local aspect. But also their ethos and just views on coffee really were exactly aligned with my own. And so we created a Connected Cup coffee that you can purchase directly from Native Root Coffee, and 10% of those proceeds will go back to Ethiopia and the Connected Cup nonprofit that works for a clean water initiative, because water is the true first connected cup. You need it to create coffee, you need it to sustain life. So we really wanted that to be a part of a way to give back, because as a filmmaker, I feel like I gained so much from the communities and the people and the cultures involved who just opened their homes and lives up to me. And I wanted to give back in a certain way. So the nonprofit came after the initial premiere of the film in 2020. So very excited about the partnership with Native Root to be able to progress that, and for people to taste incredible and ethically sourced coffee by Native Root in Colombia. And so that is something that I would definitely recommend everyone check out, is going to Native Root Coffee or theconnectedcup.com to order a bag of the Connected Cup coffee. And then there's a QR code. If you can't make the screening on WQAD, then you can always watch it at a later date with that QR code.
Well, let's talk about also the fact, like you said, you were 16 years old in Bettendorf. You didn't really experience the world very much. And then what you have seen amazes me. And one of the parts of the documentary is the story of the women in a village called Unity. And it is a woman's only village. I mean, that had to be incredibly eye-opening.
It really was. It created an additional aspect to sisterhood that I had never experienced before. So The women in Samburu, Kenya are a matriarchal village, women only. They have experienced hardships, either abuse or the death of a husband, and they really have relied on each other and created a 30 women with their families, so children. About 65, I think, are how many individuals live in unity at the moment. And that is also an aspect that I wanted to look at coffee as it's created, the sources of coffee. So that being water. And that was a reason for traveling to Samburu, Kenya. Kenya is a great producer of coffee, but I was more focused on the water aspect. So you can see really just the lived experience and the culture of unity and the women there. And we speak with the matriarchal head, and she is absolutely incredible, Mama Josephette. You all will meet her in the film. And the power and strength just within that community has transformed my own outlook on what it means to be a sister and an ally and a good person.
Brooke Bierhaus, her documentary, Coffee, The Connected Cup, can be seen Sunday night, April 24th on WQPT. On the air, on the radio, on the web, on your mobile device, and streaming on your computer. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory have been serving Quad City families and veterans since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT.
At IHM VCU, we've always been here for you. You are and always will be our top priority. We care about your financial and physical health, and we are here. IHM VCU is a proud supporter of WQPT.
Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.